98. All right, you might be getting somewhere now. Yo, tennis peeps, what's up? I'm not sure how your Prime Day was, but mine was a success. I got these two speed guns, kind of the most common, cheaper. I'm sure there's expensive ones out there, but these are the cheaper ones. These are the two most common ones you could find on Amazon. One's made by On Court, Off Court, and then one is made by Smart Pro. I think today we'll make it a kind of a dual video. One, we're gonna talk about how to hit a hard serve. We're gonna talk about what it takes to reach a 100-mile-per-hour serve. Just to set expectations, I know for a fact at one point I could hit a 100-mile-an-hour serve. I'll be 43 next month. Can I still do it? I don't know, we'll see. But I definitely know what it takes to hit a 100-mile-an-hour serve. So we'll talk about basically just the most important aspects of power and hitting hard, and we'll also make it a review of the speed guns. We'll see which one's more accurate. I'll tell you right now, just having them in my hand, the Smart Pro feels sturdier, the materials are better, the bag's a little even more, better material, better made. But what's funny is there's a lot of similarities between the two as far as like how they're put together in the structure, so I wouldn't be surprised if one company just copied the other company. You just want it as in line with the ball coming at it as possible. So you put it in front, you'll tilt it up. I'm gonna bring a couple tripods, maybe get a little higher, and we'll see which one is more accurate, which will obviously be whichever one says I serve harder. For those of you guys that like to skip your warm-up, you might notice throughout the course of your match, you start hitting the serve harder and harder. That's because there's something called synovial fluid. It actually builds up in your body as it starts to get warm. Now, it's to protect your joints and body from injury, but it also seeps into your tendons and muscles, and that can actually help with elasticity. So I like to just do arm circles till I feel a burn in my shoulders, and I'm also gonna jog a couple laps, make sure my body's ready to go, and clock some big serves. Which, by the way, this might be the last time this happens. I'm not really interested in hitting 100-mile-an-hour serves anymore. It's actually pretty violent on the body, but we'll see what happens. And I think I deserve a like and a subscribe for what I'm about to put my body through. Could you make that happen? Whew. Now that elasticity makes a lot of sense when we start to talk about the kinetic chain. Now, hopefully you played a lot of sports as a kid and you don't even have to think about how to generate force with your body, how to hit hard. Now, what we're gonna go over next is definitely gonna help you, because I find a lot of people that can do that can't necessarily hit the serve in consistently. So we'll talk about that in a second. But for those of you that haven't played a lot of sports as a kid or maybe need a refresher on the kinetic chain, it's basically just body segments separating, so the shoulders turning more than the hips, turning more than the knees, separating, and then snapping those body segments back together with a ground reaction force. So you push off the ground, each link pulls the next, and this is where it gets a little complicated. At the end, a lot of the previous body segments will start to break or stop, and then that'll make the arm go faster than muscle can contract. Now, again, it's a complicated procedure, it's organic, it's muscles, tendons stretching out, coming back together. It would be impossible to calculate every factor in the kinetic chain. So what you want to do is just go and just throw something. You can use your racket if you have a grass field, or you can just use a ball, but go for distance. Don't try to think of each body segment and throw. Just try to turn and launch the ball as far as you can. As you go for distance, you're gonna see your body start to do things that are gonna assist with that. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this link from the elbow, from the forearm to the bicep at the elbow, that link needs to collapse in order for this kinetic chain, for these body segments to really stretch out as they're uncoiling. So when you bring your arm back, again, this is a very loose process. Let the ball drop, or whatever you're throwing, drop towards behind your head or to your ear before you launch this elbow forward. So I'm gonna turn loose, I'm just gonna throw. All right, we got our speed clock set up. I got them, they come with a tripod, but I got them on my tripod so I can make them a little higher, which makes sense to me because it's gonna be more in line with the incoming ball. But real quick, let's just talk about why you have to have this continental grip and something called the power line. So inevitably, I will get someone who's played a lot of throwing sports, and they'll come out and they'll throw the ball up over their head. And yeah, they can hit the absolute crap out of it. They could probably get over 100, but they're not hitting the serve in. And that's because using a continental grip in tennis is very counterintuitive. But basically, when all those body segments come into alignment, It's called the power line. When your body's in a straight line, that's when the racket's gonna be moving as fast as it can. Now, when the body's straight, you want your wrist in what's called a neutral position. Obviously you wouldn't want your wrist like this when you're striking or back like this. You'd want it just in a relaxed neutral position. So if I put my racket in my hand and find the grip which positions that racket face pointed to where I want to hit, an acceptance window, maybe just a few inches above the net, the continental grip is what's going to do that. If I'm like this, the ball's obviously going to go pretty far out. But a continental grip basically allows you to uncoil body segments, and when you snap straight in a power line, it's going to naturally have that racket face positioned properly. Now, obviously, this also has to do with having your toss out in front. If my toss is behind me, I can't have that natural extension with my body and have it go in. I need to toss slightly out in front so my strings are naturally pointed to where they want to go. What's kind of cool, other than a 100-mile-an-hour serve, is if you're just loose and relaxed and you have a continental grip and you naturally understand how to let your body coil and uncoil. So there's 54 with 0 effort. So anyone can hit a serve at least that hard. And if I just turn and put a little effort, it was out, but we got 67 on that one, or 57, sorry. 68 on that one, 67 on that one. So we're already in the mid 60s with really 0 muscular effort, just utilizing a kinetic chain. You got to remember, your acceptance window becomes very small when you start hitting hard and flat. So if we're going purely for speed, don't expect to make them all in, but the goal is to find that toss that gets your body at the angle that hits that small acceptance window. Now, if I start hitting some bigger spin serves, the serve becomes safer, but we lose MPH. So we're only at 53, 54. One said 90. Not in though, it doesn't count unless it's in. Everyone knows that. Let's go, Lewis, you can do this. No way. 92. 88 mine. Okay, it's a little disappointing because I feel like I'm definitely warm putting everything in it. I know for a fact I can serve 100 miles an hour. Just getting worse and worse. I feel like one thing I'll give myself credit for is whenever people ask me, can you hit a 100-mile-an-hour serve? I say, I know I have before. Could I do it now consistently? Not sure. Definitely not consistently, obviously. But I tell you, I feel it in my pec right here. That's from the pulling. I feel it in my left hip from initiating those body segments. It's all good stuff. I feel like I could maybe do a little bit more leg drive, so let's see if that helps get us in that range. But I'll tell you, my body's already breaking down trying to do this. Not seeing that one light up. 98, all right, we might be getting somewhere now. 90s, regardless, they're consistent enough where you can at least use it as a measure. You can judge yourself how hard you're serving. When you make any changes in your game, you can use it to just clock your serve. So again, just to review, continental grip, understanding how to generate force through the kinetic chain body segments, and then putting all that together with just placing that toss perfectly out in front, where when your body's perfectly straight, your strings are going to be pointed to the acceptance window, the very small acceptance window. Ow. I felt the hip pop on that one, so I think that's a good place to start. Sorry I didn't get it to 100, but maybe you can. So one thing we can take out of this video is hitting a 100-mile-an-hour serve is hard. So anyways, here's the two speed clocks. Again, by the design, even the battery casing and the buttons, the functionality, they're very similar. In fact, I'm sure one was modeled off the other. Again, the Smart Pro NetPlace feels a little better as far as materials, a little bit more durable. It comes with like a tuning fork and stuff to test it, so maybe that would skew your decision one way or the other. But either way, I got two links below. They should be affiliate links if I can find them. That's a way to support this channel. The other way to support this channel is subscribe, like, comment to me what I need to do to get my serve at 100 miles an hour. I'm willing to try this one more time, but I'm telling you, it's brutal on the body. You can hit a great serve with little effort, but getting at that 100-mile-an-hour range definitely requires something else. And maybe for me, it requires a little bit more youth and a little bit more warm-up. But anyways, thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time. Sorry to interrupt, but if you want to serve harder and be more consistent, be sure to check out the link in the description of my serve program. It includes 2 detailed video analysis, a face-to-face video call, and unlimited email support. Let's work together to improve your serve, guaranteed, or your money back.